Welcome to our mindful journey. Recently, a disturbing research has been published about India. In the research paper, it was written that the Indian subcontinent is breaking into two parts, and the biggest threat in this is particularly Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, and even to some extent, states like Uttar Pradesh. The reason behind this is that these states are entering the Himalayas at a slow pace. And if these plates keep breaking at this rate, then, in the coming years, these states can completely disappear from the map of India. Actually, in December 2023, when the geologists of China's Ocean University were studying the northern edge of the Indian tectonic plates, they observed a strange phenomenon that had never been seen in any other tectonic plate. Even if the other tectonic plates were split, they would still be like this. The video we made recently on Africa's splitting, that video is also about this kind of splitting. But the splitting of Indian plates is happening like this from the north. It's like a piece of paper is being laminated. May 5th, 2022. In the Sichuan region from Tibet, the earth suddenly began to shake. Before people could understand anything, the buildings around them started to scatter like the leaves of a pebble. In a blink of an eye, Sichuan was surrounded by a flood, and under this flood, about 100 people were killed and 500 people were injured. But you know what's the astonishing part? This earthquake was the 2046th earthquake in the last 5 years of Tibet. So in just 5 years, more than 2,000 earthquakes have occurred in the same place. In the beginning, all geologists thought that this is happening because Ladakh, Uttarakhand, Arunachal Pradesh, Nepal and Tibet, all these places were on the boundary of two tectonic plates, the Indian plate and the Eurasian plate. And naturally, it is common to have an earthquake on such boundaries. But you know, this was not enough. There was more to it. Actually, the boundaries of these two plates are not limited to just this region. This boundary goes up from Karachi to Ladakh, and then from Tibet to Arunachal Pradesh, it goes back down to Myanmar. That means, if there was an earthquake because of the boundary, then the western part towards Pakistan and the eastern part towards Myanmar should also be in the same way. But very weirdly, in the last 6 years, 4 out of the coming 5 earthquakes have occurred only in this area. That means clearly, something is happening below this region, which is much more extreme than the push of tectonic plates. Now, after the birth of the mighty Himalayas, many such herbs and herbs were also born there, which have miraculous powers and solve many health problems from the root. And that is why they are also used in Ayurveda. Now, in 2022, the COVID pandemic left India, but it left a very big disease in India. Chronic fatigue, being irritated all day, laziness, headaches, dizziness, and tiredness all day. These are the symptoms of chronic fatigue, which have become very common in India nowadays. Now, for this, we often take allopathic multivitamin tablets, which only works on your symptoms and not fixes the root of the problem. But in Ayurveda, there are some very good herbs for the solution of this problem, like Shilajit, Ashwagandha, Gokshur, Kaunch Beech, and Safed Musli. But it is very difficult to take all these herbs separately, and that's why you can also take Panchamrit, Himalayan, Shilajit, effervescent tablets. In every tablet, you will get 600 milligrams Shilajit along with all these herbs. You just have to take 1 tablet in 1 glass of water. It tastes very good. And Shilajit is known as the cure for all diseases in Ayurveda, which can be the solution to chronic fatigue, tiredness, concentration, memory problems, and infertility. We should try our best to treat ourselves with our natural Ayurvedic herbs and stay healthy. I have put the link of this product in the description below. Do check it out. We know how the Himalayas were formed, but you know what? Actually, this is only half of the truth of the formation of the Himalayas, which is technically wrong too. So actually, the formation of the Himalayas was not due to the collision of these two plates, but due to the collision of 3 plates. Actually, about 100 million years ago, there used to be an ocean called Tethys Ocean between the Indian plate and the Eurasian plate, which had a third plate at the bottom, the Shiroda plate. Now, as soon as the Indian plate broke through the Gondwana and collided with the Shiroda plate below the Tethys Ocean, the Shiroda plate began to sink between the Indian and Eurasian plates due to this collision. Because of this, the bottom of the Tethys Sea began to rise above the Shiroda plate below it, and the Shiroda plate itself began to collapse under the Eurasian plate. That is, 100 million years ago, the base of the Tethys Sea was now the Himalayan mountain ranges. But even after this collision, the Indian plate was moving towards the Eurasian plate. And finally, when these two plates collided, the remaining Himalayas also formed. And this is how the entire Himalayan mountain ranges was born from the collision of three plates. To find the answer to this question, geologists from Stanford University of the United States studied all the tectonic plates in the Tibet region and mapped the boundaries between them. And you know what? To map the boundaries of all the plates, they chose something that was quite unusual. The hot springs found in the freezing cold of Tibet. Because look, hot springs are formed when groundwater comes into contact with the hot lava in the earth and comes to the surface. Because of this, there are many compounds in the earth in those hot springs. So, those researchers used the isotopes of helium, He3, and used He4 to create a map of the boundary of these two plates. Now specifically, why was helium chosen? Because geologists knew that helium-3 is found only in the magma present in the earth. And when it comes in contact with the crust of the earth, it reacts with the uranium present there and turns into helium-4. Meaning, if at any place the amount of helium-3 is high, then it means the crust is thin. And if the amount of helium-4 is high, then the crust is thick. And on this basis, these researchers analyzed all the 225 hot springs around Tibet. And then, what they found was totally shocking. Where normally Indian plates are 100 kilometers thick in this mapping, it was seen that in the area of Tibet, they were only 80 kilometers thick. And in the coming thousands of years, these states of the north and some parts of the northern border of the UP will have disappeared forever from the map of India. And on top of that, the future of the Himalayan mountains is not very bright either. According to a geologist at the University of Wisconsin, Rachel Headley, our Himalayan mountains are constantly rising above 4 millimeters. But this is not going to last forever. There will come a time when, due to this steep height, its structure will become unstable. And then after that, large pieces of the Himalayan mountains will begin to collapse rapidly. And this destruction will cause the entire part of the north uninhabitable. Well, it would have been peaceful, but you and I wouldn't have been alive today. 3.5 billion years ago, in the geothermal vents of the Earth, life was born for the first time. Because the cracks in the middle of the Earth's plates released heat and created the right environment for life, in which carbon-based life was born. From there, unicellular beings became multicellular beings, and the chain of competition and evolution began. Now, the principle of evolution also fundamentally depends on the environment around it, due to which the importance of these tectonic plates has become even more important for the fruits and flowers of life. I mean, just think about it. 150 million years ago, if dinosaurs hadn't evolved feathers to live in cold areas, then there wouldn't be any birds around us today. Now think, if there was only one environment on the Earth, if there were only one type of trees and plants, would they have evolved? Obviously not. And this is exactly where plate tectonics come into the picture. Due to the movements of these plates, mountains, plains and kai, Jwalamukhi and many other land features were created. Now in such a situation, if these movements were not possible, then all these areas would never have been made. And because of this, the creatures that live in these areas, which we see today, would not be able to exist. And you know what? This is the paradox of nature. Nature is neither good nor bad. This is only a truth, a fact. Because of this, we are here today. And because of this, we may have to go tomorrow if we don't evolve according to the changing circumstances. Like 6 million years ago, because of tectonic activities, human ancestors in Africa learned to walk on 2 legs from 4 legs. Now, how exactly did this evolution happen? Why is the African plate breaking into 2 pieces? As always, keep your curiosity alive. See you next time.